all have announcements to make with regards to who won the March 18 governorship elections in that state. But the bulk of our attention will be closer to home this morning as we now have a new governor-elect in Akwa Ibom State. We'll tell you all about that as we begin our roundup of the day's biggest political news stories and events. And let's begin with the news that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced Pastor Moino of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as Akwa Ibom State Governor-elect. Now, the State Collation Officer for Akwa Ibom, Professor Emmanuel Adidi, announced that Mr. Eno had polled 354,348 votes to win the election. He beats his closest competition, Bassi Albert of the YPP, who scored 136,000 to come second, while Akan Odofia of the All Progressives Congress, APC, polled over 126,000 votes to finish in third. Elsewhere, the New Nigeria People's Party NNPP has defeated the All Progressives Congress APC to win Saturday's governorship election in Kano State. Abba Kabir Yusuf of the NNPP was declared the winner after polling 1,190,002 votes against his closest rival, the APC's candidate Nasser Gawuna, who polled 800,955 votes. Meanwhile, the Kano State government has imposed a dawn-to-dusk curfew with a view to avoid breakdown of law and order, following tensions that were generated from the collation of the results of the governorship and state assembly elections in Kano. State Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Malam Mohammed Garba, made the announcement in a statement issued this morning. He said the decision was to prevent hoodlums from causing chaos in the already tense situation. The commissioner called on the people of the state to remain indoors as security agents would not spare anyone or group bent on causing trouble. Well, it's no surprise that the Kano election is perhaps taking this turn, with the ruling APC staring defeat in the face following the announcement of the New Nigeria People's Party NNPP candidate as governor-elect of Kano State. Well, it buttresses the arguments of the influence that Rabiu Kwankwaso, former governor and senator, has on the state after an impressive outing at the Presidential and National Assembly polls. Though he came a distant fourth at the end of the presidential election, only winning votes in Kano State amounting to 2 million plus, they were able to, return as many as 18 representatives in the House of Representatives election and a couple of senators as well in the upper chambers. So it's no surprise to see the NNPP showing its dominance in Kano State by winning the governorship elections of March 18. Let's go to Lagos now, where the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu the winner of the governorship election in Lagos State. Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress polled a total of 762,134 votes to defeat the first runner-up, the Labour Party's Badebo Rhodes Viva. The Labour Party candidate had secured 312,329 votes, while Abdulaziz Adeniran of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, polled 62,449 votes to come in third. Well, the results were announced by the returning officer, Professor Adenike Temifayo Oladiji, was the Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology in Akure. Well, before the declaration, the Labour Party candidate Rhodes Viva had called the election a sham, alleging apparent collusion between the ruling party, the APC, and the electoral officials in the state. Well, he noted that what the people witnessed was not an election, but a slap on the face of democracy, and that everyone who came out to vote for the Labour Party on Saturday were disappointed. Meanwhile, the Labour Party chairman in Lagos, Mrs. Dayo Ekong, has called on INEC to cancel the elections in Lagos, citing electoral malpractices, intimidation, violence, and others. Well, we know in the course of our coverage of the elections on Saturday, if you had joined us, we had spoken to Victor Nilaju, a regular contributor to Spectrum TV, on the state of things in Lagos State. And one of the reports he gave to us was a first-hand witnessing of what it means to have thugs truncate the electoral process after he was denied access into the polling unit on the premise that he wasn't going to be voting for the APC governorship candidate. And that characterized the bulk of the election crisis that we witnessed in some polling units and areas across the country, especially in Lagos State, where lots of voters were intimidated and asked to go home if they were not voting the All Progressives Congress. We saw that captured on live TV and footages to buttress this argument, and it's raised questions as to why, again, INEC is still insistent in going ahead to announce results in areas where there were apparent irregularities recorded. Well, staying with INEC, the Electoral Commission has raised alarm over the harassment, threat and abduction, and in one stance, the killing of one of its personnel by party thugs over the weekend's governorship and state assembly elections. Now, checks revealed that ad hoc and regular staff of INEC faced open intimidation in its area office in Obingwa local government area of Abia State. Now, reading a prepared statement to journalists last night in Abuja, INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, said the actors whom the Commission has no control over succeeded in disrupting the electoral process. Well, Okoye said INEC was determined to take a firm action to protect the sanctity of the election. Well, in the Obingwa local government area office of INEC in Abia State, where thugs challenged the declaration of the collated result, Okoye said the behavior of the thugs was unacceptable and had assured that there will be a thorough review of the results, even though they had been announced as of over the weekend. We go to Zamfara State now, where the Zamfara chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has alleged that the state governor, Bello Mohammed Matawale, is plotting to manipulate the authentic results of his native Maradun local government area in the state. Now, according to the PDP, the governor had been in touch with top officials of INEC in his bid to manipulate the result of the local government elections in his favor. In a statement issued early this morning in the state capital, Gusau, the PDP, through the Dauda Lawal media office, noted that the governor was not willing to accept defeat in the state governorship election held on Saturday. And the PDP also said they have confirmed from verified sources that Governor Matawale has been in touch with top INEC officials, forcing them to allocate fake figures in his favor. Now, they vowed to resist any move to truncate the polls, noting that INEC had already uploaded results of 185 polling units out of the total 195 polling units of the local government. Now, the statement further said that results from 8 wards have been completed on the INEC election results portal, while awaiting the uploading of 10 polling units in 2 wards. And we expect that to continue by today, this morning precisely, in the hope that come midday or the late afternoons, we should have a declaration of who is governor-elect of Zamfara State. And with that, we turn our sights now into another story surrounding the declaration of Dika Umar Rada of the All Progressives Congress APC as the winner of the March 18 governorship election in Katsina State. Announcing the results on Sunday, the INEC State Returning Officer for Katsina, Professor Mohazu Abubakar Gusau, who was the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Gusau, said Umar Rada had polled 859,892 votes to emerge the state governor-elect. Well, he said that Umar Rada had defeated its closest rival, Senator Yakubu Lado Danmaki of the People's Democratic Party, who scored 486,620 votes. Well, it's important to note that Katsina is the home state of President Muhammadu Buhari, and perhaps no surprises about the APC clinching the governorship election in that state. Well, those are the day's biggest political news stories and roundups. Well, there are a lot more where that came from because, as we already buttressed, elections took place in 28 states across the country over the weekend into governorship and state assembly elections. But the bulk of our attention will be fixated here on events happening in the state. But we'll do well to talk on other events as well, starting off with INEC's conduct of this exercise, juxtaposing the February 25 and March 18 polls to assess whether or not INEC did creditably well or not. We'll be talking to Godwin Udo, but first off, when we come back from this break that beckons, but the biggest story of the day is a bit close to home. Habamu's governor. We have a governor-elect in Akwa Ibom State. Pastor Moyne of the People's Democratic Party declared governor-elect by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Post-election reactions to Saturday's polls would form the basis of our discussion when we come back. And we're hoping to get your reactions as well in real time. Feel free to join the conversation when we give you a chance to do so. Political Spectrum will return to stay with us.
I am the returning officer for the 2023 Akwa Ibom State Governorship election held on the 18th day of March 2023. The election was contested. The candidates received the following votes. Number 1, Kofi Emem Samuel, male, Party A. Total votes received 437. Number 2, Ikanem Abasie Keme Inong Bong, female, Party AA, 181 votes. Number 3, Otu Iboro Robert. Masculine, male, political party AAC, 393. Enyang Edcock Ezekiel, male, Party ADC, 1,685 votes. Number 5, Asian Ekere Sunday, male, ADP, 642 votes. Number 6, no name, APC, 129,602 votes. Ekpo Eta Basi, number 7, male, APGA, 311 votes. Number 8, Ekong Eyo, male, APM, 381 votes. Mbamba Ephraim Okon, male, APP, 123 votes. Ekpenyong Akaniyene Efyong, male, BP, 141 votes. Okon Uko Hussein, male, LP, 4,746 votes. Number 12, Akpano Don Edenyen John James, male, NNPP, 12,509 votes. Etang Kubeat Basi, male, NRM, 861 votes. Eno Umo Basi, male, PDP, 356,348 votes. Ikanem Sunday Francis, male, PRP, 288 votes. Udo Imam Monday, female, SDP, 442 votes. Akpan Albert Bassi, male, YPP, 136,262 votes. Thomas Isikat Ogan, male, ZLP, 728 votes. That Eno Umo Basi of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Signed, returning officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for witnessing the state collation of the just concluded 2003 governorship election in Akwa Ibom State. Thank you so much, members of the press, Nigerian Union of Journalists. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, members of the ISIS, Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. Thank you for all your efforts and all you've done for the elections to be successful. God bless you all. Thank you so much, all the party agents here representing the political party.
Hey, let me come here now.
Sign and also ensuring that we maintain peace for this exercise.
Welcome back and thanks for staying on. You're watching Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television. I am Raymond Ater. And a big reminder of the day's big story. Akwa Ibom State now has a new governor-elect, just as several other states across the country where elections were held into the governorship and state assembly seat on Saturday, March 18, 2023. It was a polls that was characterized by lots of concerns, most of which already reared their ugly heads back in the February 25 presidential and National Assembly polls. So, scoring or rating INEC's performance in this election will be top of the agenda, while we'll return our focus back to the aftermath of the governorship polls here in Akwa Ibom State with Pastor Moino officially declared governor-elect yesterday by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. He, of course, defeated the likes of the YPP candidate, Abambasi Albert, who came in third, and Akandodofia of the All Progressives Congress, APC, finished in second and third, respectively, of course. But by the way, we know there were other candidates involved in this election, including into the State Assembly seat in Akwa Ibom yesterday. We get the reactions of opposition parties here in the state as they have all complained about the state of the elections and have cited the death of some Akwa Ibom persons over the weekend, also calling for a cancellation of the result. We also get the perspectives of other states across the country, and while of course we hope to get analysis and INEC's performance as far as this election is concerned when we link up with Godwin Odobert, whom we're going to join in a very short while. He's on standby in Benue State. Will also tell us how elections went down in Benue, as well as reviewing the overall performance of INEC in the polls. We'll also give you updates as they came in from other states of the Federation where elections were conducted yesterday. Okay, while we're hoping to link up with Godwin in a short while, I'd like to remind you that you can, of course, join the conversation as well by reaching out to us on the numbers displayed on your screen. We'd love to hear from you as to how governorship and state assembly polls went down in your respective areas across the country. Well, there are the numbers displayed on the screen, but don't forget, you can also join us via our social media platforms by reaching out to us on spectrumtv.ng. Just search on our website. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for live feeds, where you can follow up on all we are doing right here today. Okay, we'll also get to hear from the opposition parties here in the state. The Secretary of the Young Progressives Party, YPP, in Akwa Ibom State reacted to INEC's announcement yesterday following the declaration of Pastor Moina as a winner of Akwa Ibom State governorship elections. We'll try to ascertain the next step that will likely be taken by the opposition parties in the state with regards to the outcome of yesterday's exercise and whether or not they would seek redress in court or hold on to the affirmation that irregularities marked the polls and thus calling for a cancellation. How feasible are these? Well, stay with us when we come back. All of these issues and more will be addressed. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Let's head straight now to the Benue State capital, Makurdi, where Godwin Odobert is on standby. He's been a contributor to political spectrum throughout the course of this electioneering period, updating us on the activities of INEC, because establishing the role that INEC, the electoral umpire, has played in this election is critical to first understanding whether or not we had gotten the mandate that was given to INEC for free, fair and credible polls. And then, of course, the post-election reactions and possible litigations that will follow were all over around INEC's role in this election as well. So let's head straight now to Benue. Morning to you once again, Godwin. Thank
Yeah, good morning, Ray. Good morning, everybody. Yeah,
Hello, Godwin. All right. Yeah, good morning. Thanks for joining us. It's good to have you on the program this morning. Let's start off quickly by asking how elections went down in Benue State. We've been getting feelers from other states, starting from home, but we'd like to know what happened in Benue over the course of the weekend, with the elections first on Saturday and the collation and announcement on Sunday. Which party took it and how did they do it?
Okay, nice to hear your voice, first and foremost. Over here, though I've not been able to develop contact with how the results went through, but in the areas I cover around Benue State, I went to Okpoko local government, I went to Madigo, I went to Utukpo local government, I went to Boko local government, I went to Bandekia local government, and I think I also went to a polling unit in one that is in Taka local government area. The election went through peaceful and successful, and some party won, some party lose, some candidate won, and some candidate also lose. But in a general note, it was very peaceful over here. Only to some handful of little clashes here and there, but it was successful.
Interesting. That sounds like a good news. At least that's the opinion of many, that elections were quite peaceful in large areas across the country. But as peaceful as they were, it doesn't shy away from the fact that there may be irregularities. I mean, having a peaceful election is one thing. Having the results manipulated or irregularities recorded is just another. Were there areas where there were, irregularities cited with respect to maybe thugs invading polling units and damaging election materials or carting away the materials and all of that? Did we have any of those skirmishes reported in Benue? Were there any skirmishes reported in any polling units?
Yes, like it happens even in Akwa Ibom State, where INEC materials like that, the ones that happen in Rickets. It also happens some couple places here in Benue State. It also happened like in some polling unit in Boko. It also happened that election was not properly done. Talks invaded the polling units and all that. Disruption to the Nigerian army had to be contacted to come and restore orderliness in the polling units and in some local government.
Interesting. So, in the light of that, let's know who were the eventual big winners as far as Benue State is concerned. We know Benue was a strong hub of the PDP with the incumbent governor Samuel Otom, a member of the People's Democratic Party. So, whose way did it tilt at the end of the day?
Okay, like over here we have we have the chief community and we have the Idoma community. The chief community is predominantly occupied by APC supporters, and the Idoma community is mostly occupied by the PDP supporters. So, without mixing words, the Idoma community, a lot of them voted for the PDP massively, and in some polling unit in the chief community also voted for the APC massively. But in general, the PDP seems to be having a free flow of dominance over here as they pull large resources, result in so many polling units. So I expect more, maybe an opposition party to take over here. But I know the APC is definitely pushing very hard.
So from what you're saying, we're yet to expect the full results from Benue State. Is that what you're saying?
I'll give you maybe I'll give you the feedback in a matter of a moment.
All right.
As I go through the office again. I'm still walking down to the INEC office as it stands right now.
While we're doing that, let's quickly access the role that the electoral umpire INEC has played in this election. You've been on the trail of the electoral umpire and its activities in the lead up to this election, starting with the training of its officials for this exercise, monitoring how the materials were deployed and handled as well. Just before the elections, we had you up on this, and I did ask you whether or not you believed INEC would do better in March 18 as opposed to what we saw on February 25. But the word from the street is that the irregularities that characterized the March, or rather the February 25 polls, were more or less witnessed over the weekend during the governorship and state election, even to some extent worse, with respect to alleged connivance between INEC officials and some political parties. This time, perhaps the only gain we recorded was that we didn't have issues or complaints about the malfunctioning of the BVAS, but there were reports that some INEC officials colluded with some parties to, divert the true reality of the votes that were cast across polling units in the country. Was this the case in Benue State, or did the INEC officials there do differently?
I must say I've seen those reports. I've seen those reports, some in Lagos State and other parts of the country. I'm still waiting for when INEC is going to prosecute all those offenders. But over here in Benue State, we have not had any report of INEC official being compromised with political parties. But maybe there are a few, but we've not heard of them yet. So we're still monitoring the news to see if INEC has caught anybody trying to manipulate the election results over here. But we've seen reports from other states and other locations where INEC officials choose to compromise with political parties to influence the election result, which is very bad. Nigerians are still waiting to see or to hear when they will face the full weight of the law. It happens that over here in Nigeria, so many people indulge in election violence, election fraud, and they go unpunished. So we feel, as INEC promised us, that election offenders will be duly punished. We are still waiting for that to happen. But at the moment in Benue State, we have not seen anyone being caught with electoral malpractice.
From your submission, 18.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm asking from your submission, does it mean you were satisfied with the overall performance of INEC in the last governorship election with reference to its officials and how the materials, especially the beavers, were handled this time?
I think in some quarters, I want to agree with INEC that there was errors in the presidential and the National Assembly election regarding the beavers, but I think the governorship election is a bit more better than what we have what we had at during the presidential election. So I don't think we have area with nothing unless we have areas where INEC officials will not report on time, will not reported on time, and where election did not hold at all. But when it comes to the material, I don't think we have issue with the beavers anymore, like it happened in the previous election.
All right, interesting thoughts indeed. We're going to have to leave it there, Godwin. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, Godwin Adoba joining us from the Benue State capital, Makadi, and giving us feelers about the state of things with respect to the governorship elections in Benue State. Looks like there were a few skirmishes to report from Benue. Wish we could say same, of course, for how elections went down in other parts of the country, which we'll give updates on as we progress. And by the way, it takes us to events that took place in Lagos State, where, by the way, INEC has declared the incumbent governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress as the winner of the Lagos State governorship election. He did so, polling over 756,000 votes to defeat his closest rival, Gbadebo Viva Rhodes of the Labour Party. The Labour Party, of course, has claimed the elections were a sham and marred with irregularities, and have also called for an outright cancellation of the polls. Lagos, of course, was a hotly debated spot throughout the entire electioneering period. But I'm pretty sure a lot of persons would have been disappointed with the footages that emerged from activities in Lagos State. We'll try to bring in some of those clips as we move on, where we saw election materials damaged and thugs invading polling units in excessive numbers and preventing people from casting their votes. We know the lead up to the Lagos State governorship elections were characterized by ethnic tantrums and religious bigotry that was thrown around by some political parties as well as their supporters. And none tops, the list of clumsy, agenda pushed forward by some of these political parties and their supporters than comments made by MC Oluomo, who has been seen as a chief supporter, one of the keen supporters of the APC, not just in Lagos, but also across the country, when he made a comment with regards people coming out to vote on election day. His threats to the Igbos in Lagos appeared to have been taken with a pinch of salt by the government and security operatives after the police in Lagos came out in response to MC Oluomo's threat to persons who were not willing to vote for the APC to sit back in their homes, special reference to the Igbos in Lagos. Well, the police summarized it to mean that MC Oluomo was only joking when he made such threat. But in real time, the evidence is on ground buttressed that those threats were not actually a joke, as was suggested by the police, because we saw a wave of attack on protesters and innocent Nigerians who came out to exercise their franchise on election day in Lagos. A good number of them not allowed to vote. While there was apparent voter apathy, because a lot of Lagosians were disappointed that even though we saw the Labour Party winning in Lagos in the presidential election, the allocated figures with reference to votes that the Labour Party secured in Lagos, many say was not a true reflection of the votes that were cast. So much so that we had even the People's Democratic Party, who were an interested party in that election, releasing figures to suggest the real number of votes that the Labour Party had secured. in the presidential post, numbering over 900,000. And it will constitute, of course, a part of the post-election litigation concerns that most of these parties would have by the time they head to court. As a matter of fact, the cases are already in court as we speak. So that may have informed the reasons why a lot of persons did not turn out to vote in the Lagos State governorship election, because people were scared for their lives with the threats that were made that if you were not going to vote a particular political party, you could do all to stay at home. So how have security operatives responded to it? Well, they said it was a joke. I wonder, after having access to the footages themselves, whether they still think MC Oluomo's comments were a joke or not. And what does this make of our elections as we go forward? Time, of course, would tell. That's from Lagos. Elsewhere in Katsina, the home state of President Buhari, we had updated you earlier on that it was the APC who polled the highest number of votes to have their candidates declared as president-elect. So unsurprising that the APC has won in President Buhari's home state. In Zamfara, just like Benue State, we're still expecting results to come in as to who is the authentic winner of the governorship election in those states. In Zamfara, the PDP have alleged plans by the APC and Governor Mohammed Matawale to rig elections in Maradun local government area. Well, Maradun is the local government of Governor Matawale, and from what we have been following, of the 195 polling units in Maradun, election results have already been uploaded in 185. So there's just about 10 units apart to round up the exercise. And we're told Governor Matawale, according to the PDP, is trying to fake results by intimidating INEC officials in the state to obtain the results in his favor. Well, they have said they will monitor this out and have called on INEC to ensure that in no way is the elections compromised. So we'll keep our attention fixated there as well. As soon as we have the updates coming, we'll do well to inundate you on that as we progress. There are other states where we've had elections pouring in, and it's been a good outing for the All Progressives Congress governors across the 28 states where elections were held. But the PDP have equally picked up wins in other states as well. And believe it or not, we are on the verge of having a first female governor in Nigeria, in Adamawa, where the APC candidate has been leading from the figures collated so far, and expect a formal announcement later today. And by this projections, should she make it as governor-elect come May 29, she would be sworn in as the first ever elected female governor in Nigeria. Now, the interesting dynamics here with Adamawa is that you have the APC winning the governorship seat in the home state of the presidential candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. So where did it go wrong for the PDP in the stronghold of their presidential candidate? Well, time will tell. We'll keep monitoring this one as well and do well to update you as we progress. In Rivers State, it was the PDP, of course, who held sway, although more concerns have arisen as to the role Governor Nyesom Wike played in dictating which way the results went, as was the evidences made available during the February 25 presidential and National Assembly polls. We'll give you more updates when we come back from this break, but as soon as we come back as well, we'll come back to home and post-election reactions. We'll get to hear from the secretary of the Young Progressives Party in Akwa Ibom State, who was reacting to the announcement of INEC, by INEC rather, of Pastor Moino of the PDP as governor-elect in Akwa Ibom State. Well, they seem to be having apparent dissatisfaction with the entire process, but it's left to be seen where they will head to from here. Plus, all of your reactions to governorship and state assembly elections across Nigeria on March 18. We'll take them when we come back as well. Stay with us, Political Spectrum. We'll return.
I am the returning officer for the 2023 Akwa Ibom State Governorship election held on the 18th day of March 2023. The election was contested. The candidates received the following votes. Number 1, Kofi Emem Samuel, male, Party A. Total votes received 437. Number 2, Ikanem Abasie Keme Inong Bong, female, Party AA, 181 votes. Number 3, Otu Iboro Robert. Iboro Robert. Masculine, male. Political party AAC, 393. Enyang Edcock Ezekiel, male, party ADC, 1,685 votes. Number 5, Asian Ekere Sunday, male, ADP, 642 votes. Number 6, no name, APC, 129,602 votes. Ekpo Eta Basi, number 7, male, APGA, 311 votes. Number 8, Ekong Eyo, male, APM, 381 votes. Mbamba Ephraim Okon, male, APP, 123 votes. Ekpenyong Akaniyene Epion, male, BP, 141 votes. Okon Uko Hussein, male, LP, 4,746 votes. Number 12, Akpano Don Edenyen John James, male, NNPP, 12,509 votes. Ethan Kubeat Basi, male, NRM, 861 votes. Eno Umo Basi, male, PDP, 356,348 votes. Ikanem Sunday Francis, male, PRP, 288 votes. Udo Imam Monday, female, SDP, 442 votes. Akpan Albert Basi, male, YPP, 136,262 votes. Thomas Isikat Ogan, male, ZLP, 728 votes. That Eno Umo Basi of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Signed, returning officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for witnessing the state collation of the just concluded 2003
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abuse. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back and many thanks for staying on. You're watching Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television. Don't forget, you can always connect with us on StarTimes DTH Channel 421. And don't forget, for live feeds, follow us via our social media platforms on YouTube. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, follow us on all other platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all of which you can find on our website. Just search spectrumtv.ng. Or just before we chip in your reactions, which you can do by reaching out via the numbers displayed on your screen, let's follow up on the day's big story, which is attention back at home. We just saw again the formal announcement by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Akwa Ibom State yesterday, declaring the candidate of the ruling People's Democratic Party here in Akwa Ibom, Pastor Moina, as winner of the March 18 governorship elections in the state. While declaring the results yesterday, the state returning officer and the vice chancellor of the Maritime University of Kerenkoko in Delta State, Professor Emmanuel Adigio, said the PDP candidate had polled a total of 356,346 votes to emerge as winner, just ahead of his main challenger and closest rival, the candidate of the Young Progressives Party, Obombasi Albert, who polled a total of 136,262 votes, while the APC second Adolphia came in third. He polled 129,602 votes. The New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, came in fifth, and they polled 125,009 votes. You would say that was quite impressive. While the Labour Party polled 4,746 votes to come in fifth place, and others, of course, trailed in that order. So in our next view, Pastor Moina had fulfilled the requirements of the law and was declared winner of the governorship elections. The local government areas, of course, that were won by the PDP, just giving you a breakdown here, includes several states, or rather local governments, begging your pardon, such as Nsidibum, Odonwoko, Oran Ini, Esedeked, Ikodabasi, Ikodekbene, Etemekbo, and 22 others, while the YPP opponents, of course, won in Ikono and Ibionibum respectively, where they also picked up State House tickets. However, there were reactions to this result yesterday, the secretary of the Young Progressives Party, who also featured as the party's agent at that post, in the person of Ambassador Kelvin Omor, rejected this result after it was announced yesterday. And speaking to the press, he alleged widespread violence as well as intimidation that led to the killing of his party supporters. We're going to hear now from Ambassador Kelvin Omor, who was talking to reporters. Of course, Spectrum TV was there at the collation center yesterday, shortly after their announcement, where he alleged widespread violence and voter intimidation. Let's get to hear now from Kelvin Omor talking to the press and what he thinks his party will likely do with response to the allegations of voter intimidation, violence and irregularities that he alleged marked the exercise. Let's hear from him.
Is a name. I am of the YPP, state agent.
You heard the results of yesterday's election as conducted by INEC in Akwa State. The candidate was declared. Okay, there's no loser, there's no party. What do you make of the victory?
No, say what is in your mouth. Be free.
No, what do you make of the victory of the PDP candidate?
Well, the victory, will you say victory? And I will say no, reason being that all of our predictions and all of our cry to INEC have all seen the light of the day. And how will you expect me to endorse or append my signature to elections that the blood of the innocent Akwa Ibom might be shed on the cause of exercising their civil rights, and where people will refuse to go in and vote? And then when you call that victory, there's no victory there. To me, if you ask me, I want to be very realistic with you, it's an outright abuse to democracy. It's a complete negation to what democracy stands for. And so therefore, as the Young Progressive Party, will seek to redress it in the law court and then reclaim our mandate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, that was the secretary of the Young Progressives Party, Kelvin Omor, rejecting the result. As a matter of fact, confirming that he did not append a signature, as is the tradition following collation and announcement of results by representatives of the party at the collation center. So this simply buttresses the other statements issued by the party who have lost out at this election. The APC and the YPP have called for a cancellation of the results, citing the death of some of their supporters and the other alleged chemistries that characterized the polls, and have also said those who were responsible should be prosecuted. Well, it's left to be seen how far this would go. The same admonition that was handed down to the defeated candidate to the presidential elections would obviously be handed out to the losing candidates across the gubernatorial elections in Nigeria. Channel your grievances to the court. So opinion is divided on this. Some maintain the elections went seamlessly, considering there wasn't widespread or large-scale violence. But when you have candidates coming out to say in clear terms that a lot of persons or some persons were killed, not a lot now, some persons were reportedly killed in the wee hours of the election. If you joined us on Saturday, we brought you footages buttressing this argument where the candidate of the YPP, Obambasi Albert, shortly after casting his vote, confirmed to us that he was aware of the information that 3 persons were killed in his local government of Ibiono, and he said the bodies were reportedly taken away by those who perpetrated the heinous acts, and it had informed this decision to notify the Commissioner of Police in Akwa Ibom State, Olatoye Durusimi, as well as the Director of DSS in Akwa Ibom State, informing them of this unfortunate incident. Well, the police, of course, have said they will investigate the matter, and it's left to be seen what the outcome of this investigation will be. But also, the state governor, Mr. Dem Emmanuel, shortly after he cast his vote on Saturday, also said he was aware of information that police officers came in from Abuja to truncate the electoral process in Ekate. But he stopped shy of commenting on what happened in Ibiono, where Senator Basi Albert confirmed that there were deaths reported. Well, let's get to hear from him personally on his perception of Saturday's election. Of course, votes cast, when he confirmed to us the unfortunate incident that has been making the rounds.
Elections.
Well, like I said earlier, I think it's quite there's a drastic change, drastic improvement, drastic enhancement of the process, and then the drastic and prompt responses on the part of INEC. So I commend INEC in totality. Yeah, I think the materials got on the unit before 8 o'clock, and that was quite drastic compared to what we had the last time, where material got here about after 1. So I'm sure today's exercise is an improvement of what transpired in the last exercise, and so good.
Okay, sir. On what happened in the early hours of today, what feedbacks have you been able to get on that?
I had bliss because I called the CP when I heard it. I tried to reach out to the director of SSS when I heard it. And then I think there's an SSS report to that effect. 3 people were killed and they left with the corpses just to kill the traces. But I can assure you, nobody can hide this. I believe that this death will never go in vain. Okay, so God will show up for Ugandan people, because I think it was an attempt to disrupt the elections in Uganda. But I must commend the people for remaining in a state of calmness, peace, and tranquility.
All right, sir. Now, we are just coming from a local government area where Senator Itainan is from, and the villagers there who were voting made some very curious claims that the senator tried to scuttle the processes of voting in that particular village, that the materials were littered on the ground. People there were stopped from voting. I don't know how true that is, but then what would be your reaction?
I haven't seen pictorial evidences on that, and because I know that Senator Channel is the country, he should have just gone out there, exercise his franchise, and then give other Nigerians the right to do so. Because every vote you destroyed is a vote loss that could have led to a win, or maybe augment the gaps of losses. So I don't think every vote should count. That's my opinion. As you can see in my village, it's very peaceful, very, very peaceful. I just came out to vote because earlier on there were too many people. So I had to allow my people the opportunity because they're all excited. I don't want to see a government come from this land. So I must commend the process. They are peaceful in nature, and I just believe and hope that at the end of this exercise, people's will have the way.
You have confidence in emerging?
I think we've worked hard enough to say yes, we will win, and we will win. Yes, and we shall win. And winning is nice, yes. The hearts of the people are with us. No doubt about that. No amount of money, dollars, pounds, naira will stop according to me.
Distinguished Senator Bassi Alberts, gubernatorial candidate of the YPP at the just concluded governorship election in the Akwa Ibom State, confirming he was in the know with reports alleging that some gunmen had invaded some polling 3 persons. Well, just before we spoke to Senator Bassi Albert, by the way, was talking to our correspondent, Xavier Roberts. Just before that, we also spoke to one of the residents in the area and an alleged eyewitness to the incidents that took place. And he confirmed to us, of course, that it happened in the late hours of Friday night, just before the break of the new day, which was election day. He had initially said that 2 persons were killed, not until Senator Bassi Alberts different figures, that it was actually 3 persons, and that has been the number a lot of persons have had to stick with as far as the reports of deaths in Ibionibom local government area was concerned. But he also alleged that those who perpetrated this act came in with police uniforms. So we're still trying to authenticate the validity of that statement, whether indeed they were men of the Nigerian police who came in to perpetrate that startling act, or it was perhaps thugs dressing up in police kits or police uniforms to carry out the attacks. But more importantly, who was responsible for perpetrating this heinous act in lead up to the elections. So for the obvious reasons, it is documented that there were skirmishes and loss of lives in the governorship elections here in the state. But how far will it influence the outcome of the elections following the results that were announced already yesterday? Well, not just in Akwa Ibom, we've had similar cases and reports in other parts of the country, and even worse with Lagos recording massive skirmishes of violence in different polling units across the country. Let's begin to take in your reactions and your responses to election day in across Nigeria with respect to the governorship and state assembly polls. Were you satisfied with the entirety of the process, especially the role INEC played in that election? Or can you say that the expectations of Nigerians were dashed? And following the announcement of the different governors-elect across different states of the country, do you feel the new dispensation would better the lot of Nigerians? Well, let us know. The numbers are, of course, displayed on your screen. Join the conversation now and let's know what you feel. But again, we'd like to reiterate that when you join in, do well to keep your calls, your comments, and your contributions as moderate as possible when you do join in. But for those who may not be able to reach out, feel free to join us on our social media platforms where the conversation does continue. Just before we wrap up as well, we bring you more updates from other states as they trickle in with respect to the governorship and state assembly elections as the results keep coming in. In the last few minutes, we have confirmation from Nasarawa State, where Governor Sule has been declared the winner of the Nasarawa State gubernatorial elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Professor Ishai Tanko is the state's collation and returning officer, and he made the declaration a few minutes ago. It's just a breaking and developing story. The INEC officer said the APC candidates and incumbent governor polled a total of 347,209 votes to defeat his closest opponent, David Ogbugadu, who is the candidate of the PDP, who scored 283,016 votes. And so, according to INEC, having satisfied the requirement of the law and scored the highest number of votes, Governor Sule returns elected for another term in office on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. So that's for Nasarawa State. We've already told you about the positions of Lagos, where Governor Sanwo-Olu was re-elected. In Kano, the influence of former Governor and Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso came to bear after a good outing at the National Assembly polls, where they won 18 seats in the House of Representatives and a couple of seats in the Senate. They have clinched the governorship election in Kano State. So one could say Tinubu has an overbearing influence in Lagos, but it is apparent that it's the same influence that's wielded in Kano by former Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, who was the presidential candidate of the NNPP at the February 25 presidential polls, where he came a distant fourth after only winning in the state of Kano, as it were. Some more updates pouring in across other locations across the country. But still staying with Kano, by the way, and following up on that updates that Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has declared a dawn-to-dusk curfew in Kano State to tense, or rather douse the tension that has been developing following the announcement of the NNPP candidate as the winner of the governorship election. It's quite a surprise seeing the APC lose in Kano, but again, talking about that influence that former Governor Kwankwaso holds, it's perhaps not a surprise to onlookers that it's the NNPP who have clinched that election. But to douse the tension on a possible protest on the streets, Governor Ganduje has declared a dusk to dawn curfew in the state. How long it will last is left to be seen. Now to Enugu State, where INEC has announced a suspension of the election in Nkanu East local government area of Enugu. And the Labour Party governorship candidate in the state, Barrister Chigoge Edoga, has again demanded the outright cancellation of the results from that area, so via a petition to INEC, where he said the non-usage of beavers had rendered the results from Kano East a nullity. Now, he said the total number of accredited results in the INEC server shows that the PDP allocated votes to its candidate, Barrister Peter Mba. And he also said, whereas the total vote on INEC's IREF for Nkanu East is about 15,000, the allocated votes to the PDP candidate was 30,000. So the irregularities and misplacement of numbers here, the disparity in the figures is one that calls for questioning, and this may have informed INEC's choice to call for a pause with the electoral process in Nkanu East. So those are the updates coming in from there. We keep updating you with more updates coming in from different parts of the country as we're expecting full announcement of all the places where elections were held. All right, we're going to be closing up shop right now, but we have to say thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning. The rest of the week with our continuous monitoring of the entire election process. Post litigations expected to dominate the discussion right after the polls. So while we're still keeping an eye on the states where results are yet to be fully announced. So subsequently in the course of our programming, and of course when next we come your way with Political Spectrum, we'll do well to bring you up to speed with those updates. But it's no longer news that Akwa Ibom State has a new governor-elect, and it's Pastor Moina of the People's Democratic Party. As a happy hour indeed began for him and the PDP administration in the state. The next 4 years starting May 29th will let us know. Well, stay with us for more programming right here on Spectrum TV, but that's the size of Political Spectrum for today. I'll be back again tomorrow. Join me again if you can. But from me, Raymond Ita, and the rest of the crew, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.